we've seen everything in this game, haven't we, over the years? Hand on the shoulder, stroke neck, no doubt about it. But as I said, Ibrahim Diaz is desperate to go to ground. Any opportunity to flop to the ground is what modern players do. And the referee, of course, has been spoken to in his ear, and the way he's been bullied into going to the monitor. And once he got there, I was sure that he was going to point to the spot. Yeah, and he's looking to book anybody now in a green shirt.
Well, he was looking for Malik Diouf, who, in his opinion, committed the offence, and he is absolutely distraught, and understandably so, because by making that challenge there, whether the contact was significant or not, he has put his team in a massive hole here.
You've got to be aware of exactly who you're marking. He knows that he's got a massive advantage against Brahim Diaz. Anyway, there's no need to get into any kind of arm wrestle. If anything, he can always give Diaz that yard of space and be moving on to the ball as it arrives. You can see the flight of the football. He doesn't need to be making that challenge, so it's poor defending. As I said, he's given the referee the opportunity to go to the monitor. And I said, once he went over there, it was always going to be a penalty.
Well, this is bordering on impossible for the referee to try and contain. He's got to get a grip on matters somehow. But after, as you can see, 100 minutes of play, it all comes down to one moment of controversy right at the very end of the Africa Cup of Nations final.
Could be ending in joyous fashion for Morocco's fans, but in a very unsavoury and ugly fashion if you are Senegalese. Well, those two will never agree on this. Patia, I think, is pointed to the other end of the field, saying we were robbed of a goal about 2 or 3 minutes earlier. And I've got to say, I've got some sympathy. He's saying that, you know, the whistle was blown early, and early, but erroneously as far as I'm concerned.
An unsavoury finish, but it could well be a joyous one. Patia is taking his players off the pitch.
No, you can't do that. You cannot do that. However aggrieved you feel at the situation, you've got to let the referee and the rules.
Well, this is extraordinary. I've never seen anything quite like this.
I've got some sympathy, but this is not a good look. I can understand they are absolutely enraged.
See, all the players have been summoned back to the bench. I mean, you can understand why they're so upset. At this stage of the game,
absolutely.
A decision like that goes against them. You can absolutely understand it from their part. Have they got, first and foremost, the decision right, though, the officials? That's what it comes down to. Is the decision right to award the penalty for the challenge we saw from Malik Diouf? Your honest opinion, FM?
My honest opinion is no. I think he was soft. I think it was a little bit foolish and reckless by Malik Diouf. But the decision has been made, and the players have to abide by that. As unsavoury and as unfortunate and as angry as they are, you cannot be taking your team off the field. Whatever happens now, it's not a good look for African football, that's for sure. Officials have to get to grips with the Senegalese Football Federation if they have. One of their men on the touchline close to it. He pulled him away, but we see that, like I said, he's you run the risk when you've got your arms around the neck of a player like that. Yeah, Diaz made the most of it. He knows that he's not going to get on the ball. He's saying that's a penalty. Of course he would.
So we have this incredible scenario where there are a couple of players of Morocco inside the Senegal penalty area, waiting to get this penalty taken. But Pat Thiaw is absolutely adamant that his players are going nowhere at the moment.
Yeah, we're seeing again the free kick that was given against Abdoulaye Sène, which I think was very soft. Yeah, that's no foul. That happens 3-4 times, even more than that, every afternoon, every evening in football all around the world, and more often than not the referees will not penalise the opposing player.
And there has been a recurring theme throughout matches that Morocco have been involved in, that opposing teams feel that the host nation have been awarded decisions in their favour. It happened, Nigeria were incredibly angry in the last game. It was put to Walid Regragui that his team are getting the benefit of the decisions. He said absolutely not. The only advantage we have is playing at home. And it has been an accusation that's been levelled at the officials throughout the tournament.
Hometown favouritism for teams is nothing new. And yes, you will get things, one or two things that ordinarily would not go your way on neutral territory or indeed on opposing soil. That's to be acknowledged, I think, and to be accepted as much as the host would not like to. It's not just the case for Morocco, it would be the case for any African nation playing at home, that the crowd were able to generate more in your favour, if you like. And I wouldn't like to say that officials are more prone to give you things. But it just happens, that things will go in your favour.
But what is Pat Thiaw hoping to achieve by bringing his players to the side? The decision has been made. It's nothing more at the moment, it would seem, than just an obvious protest.
Yeah, that's clear. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. The penalty will get taken. Of course, if Senegal refuse to return to the field, and then the game, you'd imagine, will be awarded to Morocco, which would be a terrible way to end this competition.
Well, they're leaving for good now. Well, I have never, ever seen anything like this.
There must be a member or two of the Senegalese Federation to come down and say, boys, we have to accept that the penalty is given. As aggrieved as we feel. Bruno Metsu. Perhaps some words of wisdom from the old sage.
Well, Sadio Mane is staying out there. He has not gone back to the dressing room to join his teammates. He has stayed out there. And who knows what happens from here. I have absolutely no idea what happens from this point. It is so unprecedented.
Well, can you take the penalty without the goalkeeper? I don't know what the rules say on that.
Well, Mane will have to go in goal at this rate, because Edouard Mendy is back in the sanctuary of the dressing room. Well, let's bring in the guys in the studio, because this is like something we've never seen before. We're really interested to get the views of Hassan Kashloul and John Obi Mikel. Guys, what's your reading of what we're seeing here?
There's been a heated debate in the studio, as you can expect, and probably around Africa and world football in general. Fans would never really have seen scenes like this before. Unprecedented. It has descended into utter chaos, and it has been heated in the studio as well. Let's start with you, Hassan, because you are representing Morocco. You've seen a goal disallowed at one end.
Yes.
And then you have seen a penalty awarded, and now we've seen the entire Senegal side, encouraged by their coach Pat Thiaw, to go back into the dressing room.
Yes. I completely understand the reaction of the Senegalese players. What I would say is the first goal from Senegal, in my own point of view, is valid. Achraf Hakimi fall on the throw. That's very light. And this goal should have been allowed, or at least verified on the VAR. But I do think that the goal is valuable. Now, I do think as well that there is a penalty on Brahim Diaz. I don't think if you hold the player by the neck in the 95th minute or whenever it is, there is a penalty. And as I said, justification to Mikel, too wrong doesn't make it right. You can't balance. There's a wrong decision at the beginning, but making a wrong decision at the beginning doesn't mean you can't allow the penalty for Morocco, because there is a clear fault. Now, what the scene we're seeing now are really sad. Nobody is winning. African football is not winning. And to end up a competition like this with a team walking out, I understand they're very upset. But to see these scenes, I think everybody is a loser.
Yeah, but I just think the decision is totally wrong. For me, what we've seen here, the fantastic football, fantastic tournament we've seen, is just been ruined by this decision. For me, I think it's an awful decision from this referee. For me, the first goal, which was Senegalese goal, should have stood. It was there was no foul on Hakimi. He went down way too easily. And then 2 minutes later, you give that such penalty. For me, it's absolutely disgraceful decision from the referee. And I can understand their frustration, because if you disallowed such a goal earlier on, and then you go back 2 minutes later and give a penalty to the Moroccans, for me, it's just ridiculous. I understand their frustration, but walking off the pitch is what I don't want to see. For African football, it's just a shameful end to this fantastic tournament. I don't know where we'll go from here, but this has just put a sad end to this wonderful tournament. I think they're going to go on. They should go on. Whatever happens from here, I don't know who's the winner. I absolutely don't know who's the winner. From what has happened 2 days earlier, for them not providing security, inadequate accommodation, inadequate facilities to train, all those has just complicated all this decision that's happening here. The frustration is here. I just don't think it's right.
Referee Jean-Jacques Ndala has made a big decision, firstly to deny Senegal a goal, 5 minutes later to award Morocco a penalty. That's the reason you are seeing these scenes. We're going to send you back to our commentary team now as we wait to figure out how this AFCON final will end.
Well, Edouard Mendy is back out. He's been carded. That's the least of his concerns, I'm sure. Scenes that we have never seen before unfolding in front of our eyes here. I don't know who the peacemaker was who has managed to persuade Senegal to come back out. They have come back out.
They had to, really. They had to. There was no way that they could leave things as they were.
But the guys are right. I mean, you know, John Obi Mikel put it brilliantly. This is a shameful end to what's been a wonderful tournament, and ruined.
It is, unfortunately. The penalty has to be taken, of course, to be scored, missed or saved. Mendy has a chance to make himself a hero and take us to extra time. And Brahim Diaz has the opportunity to make himself a proper Moroccan national hero.
And Brahim Diaz, who has been...
The referee should leave him alone. We don't need to see the referee. The referee should leave Mendy all alone.
Brahim Diaz, who has sparkled throughout this tournament. The tournament's top scorer. With the chance to win the Africa Cup of Nations for Morocco. The most extraordinary end to a game. And still we wait, and Brahim Diaz has to recompose himself again.
Psychological warfare from Edouard Mendy. It's the second time he's come up to Brahim Diaz. She passed on a few unpleasantries, you would imagine, the first time. Certainly not wishing him good luck, that's for sure.
It's Diaz, and he's dinked it straight at Mendy. A woeful penalty. Absolutely woeful. A shake of the head from Pap Thiaw.
What is he doing? What is Brahim Diaz doing? I cannot believe he's just done that. Too clever for his own good. He looked nice and concentrated and composed as he was lining up to take it, and then to do that, that absolutely ridiculous.